So for interaction number 2 of the TE150 Global Learning Project, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Cass Tapia, who is going to be an e-board member next year for the Culturas de las Razas Unidas group here on MSU's campus. So before I met with Cass, I actually sat down by myself and created 8 interview questions with the goal to kind of keep us on the right track towards learning more about each other's culture and also being respectful and considerate of her time, as we're all busy college students with a lot on our plates, especially at this time of year. And I created these questions in particular because I wanted to get more insight from the leader's perspective of the group on what the organization could improve upon, what their strengths are, and also goals for the upcoming academic year and beyond. From my first interaction with crew a few weeks ago, I quickly realized, like I said in my previous vlog, that these students were dedicated and driven to improving the quality of life for their community, both on campus and off. And so I thought it'd be really interesting to kind of pick Cass's brain and learn more about the work that these students do behind the scenes to make their group very impactful for the Latinx community. It's important for me to learn these things through my questions because it's one thing to have your perspective as an outsider going into a group, especially a multicultural student group where there are cultural barriers and sometimes even significant differences in the experiences between you and these participants that you're engaging with. And it's a whole nother thing to be exposed to the mindset and the perspective of someone who's actually a participant member of the group, and especially someone who is a leader within the group, such as Cass. Similar to the major principal idea that I took away from interaction 1 with Culturas de las Razas Unidas a few weeks ago after I attended their general election meeting, this interaction I had with Cass really was very significant for me in furthering my recognition and understanding of how my identity as a white man grants me so much privilege and really does blind me from understanding, knowing, and being able to empathize with the struggles faced by multicultural student orgs on MSU's campus, and especially the marginalized students that take part in these groups and how their identity is affected by being part of a predominantly white institution such as Michigan State. For example, one thing Cass talked about was how just recently even there was a conservative news article posted by an MSU student that really sought out to do not much other than invalidate the identity of marginalized communities and student organizations on campus, such as CORES and COPS groups, which focus on racial minorities, as well as progressive student alliances such as LGBTQ students, and how these groups in CORES and COPS had to band together to kind of reaffirm their own identities and validate their own student voice on campus, which in my opinion should never be how it is. I mean, we're all MSU students, but unfortunately due to the social systems of hierarchy, not just on MSU's campus, but in the United States in general, these students were attacked by someone through the use of their hurtful words online to invalidate who they are as a people. Furthermore, Cass talked about how the designated crew room in the Wilson Hall basement is very cramped and hot, which I also experienced firsthand when I went to the general election night meeting a few weeks ago, and how, due to the conditions of this room, it's really hard for them to attract a larger audience because there's simply not enough comfortable space for them to be able to have a proper general body meeting and carry out the work that they'd like to do, and how that really is an inequitable treatment between their group and other groups on campus who have lots of different spaces on MSU campus that are much more accommodating. One thing I found surprising from my interaction with Cass was just how genuinely connected she feels to her fellow crew members as well as the crew organization as a whole. She talked about how being in crew has been really refreshing for her and how it's a way for her to feel connected to other people who share her lived experiences and culture through speaking Spanish and Spanglish with them, to sharing like Hispanic memes and things that only people with her identity can really understand and celebrate together. And she said that being a part of this group has really helped her stay motivated in school, and that one of the things that she loves the most is seeing her fellow Latinx identifying students in crew succeed, making the honor roll, taking difficult classes, and really rising to be students on the MSU campus and community. And this was only surprising to learn for me because typically whenever I think of students who have like these profound experiences through student organizations and these wonderful experiences that really change their whole college experience is on like MSU tour guides and social media that's promoting MSU as a whole. And sometimes those kind of things seem very disingenuous to me. But after talking with Cass, I really did realize that it is possible for normal students to have these connections through their student organizations, and how it really does become a second home for them, which was super refreshing because as a fellow MSU student, I haven't really found that myself, so that was really neat to hear from her. Another thing that I found kind of surprising from my interaction with Cass is just how genuinely open Crew is to accepting students from a wide variety of identities and cultures, not only Latinx identifying. And this was surprising to me because typically, white people have this very notorious track record of coming into spaces that aren't really designated for them and kind of making it all about them. And so when I heard about the Global Learning Project, I was kind of apprehensive at first because I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to come on and intrude and impede on this space that's designated for Latinx students. But Cass was very open and willing to talk about how Crew as a whole is welcoming and ready to accept anybody who's willing to accept them and learn more about what they're really all about. One particular thing that I'm definitely still curious about and interested in learning more about are the events that Crew puts on. Unfortunately, due to timing schedules and conflicts of commitments, I wasn't able to attend any Crew sponsor events in the past few weeks. However, I am really interested in learning more about culture through these events. I know from my past 5 years of taking Spanish classes, especially those that are more principally focused on the cultural aspect rather than the language aspect, such as the one I'm enrolled in right now, that a huge part of Latinx and Hispanic culture is embedded in these fiestas and celebrations and ferias and other things that really take a lot of different elements of the lives of Latinx people and embed them into this big culmination of just a love for their culture. So I think it would be really important for me and really beneficial to, from a cultural perspective, to attend one of these and see what I could learn from attending these events. Actually, one of Crew's biggest events did just happen this past weekend. It's called Dia de la Mujer Conference, which translates to Day of the Woman. And it's a conference that Crew kind of spearheads and puts on to focus on empowering young Latino women on campus. In all, although I mentioned I was a little bit apprehensive of the Global Learning Project at first, I'm extremely glad I got to have these interactions with Crew. The students in Crew were so welcoming and kind and willing to help me complete this project and helping me learn more about their culture. So I'm really glad I was able to have this opportunity to get to know them, get to know their cause in a way that I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity or been brave enough to do otherwise had it not been for this project.